Hey yo, the lies told that you never make it. Hopeless, so it seems. Eyes closed, hands open wide to embrace your dreams. Sometimes you gotta take a loss just to get the win. Like lots of sin was popping in like oxygen when boxes win. Focus on the mental, never lose like a smooth instrumental. Better choose on the move in a pinto. Choose what I get to, never lose move on the move, but it's simple. Never give up and we running it maybe. We just keep winning, we conquering daily. Envision that pay me, it's never to sway me. Indigenous, maybe we winning this crazy. Your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity, it's your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity, it's your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity, it's your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity.
Welcome one, welcome all, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Lions Villain Report. It is Wednesday. It is July 31st. We are in training camp, and we are broadcasting live in the Detroit Lions news. The Lions Villain Report, the Detroit Lions news, and we're also broadcasting live onto Roku as well as JC Sports. Please like, subscribe, share this content. If you like football, then you should like this. You like that? Right there, Lions Villain Report. Good morning, everybody. We got some news a little bit. We knew about it yesterday. It kind of broke yesterday. We wanted to start. We're going to hit the John Kaminsky. Just got Poor guy gets injured in training camp. And that's not, I mean, that really stinks. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that today. Kaminsky tears his MCL. He's out for the regular season. And they've been going hard in practice. That was a little bit of something that I wanted to hit up today. So how y'all doing out there? Who do we have out here so far? So good right there. Dwayne is in the house. So we're going to bite some kneecaps, everybody.
We're going to bite a kneecap off.
That's what Dwayne says.
We're going to bite a kneecap off.
Good morning, Fred Peterson. Good morning. It's a great day to be a Lion. That's right.
Whatever that thing's for.
That's right. Scott Harrison up in the house. What's going on, brother? Thank you for watching the show. Go Lions. So what do you think about them going really, really hard in practice? And now you have John Kaminsky, who tears his MCL, and he is out for the entire season. Now, one of the things that Dan Campbell had said when he was talking, I think it was the interview from last year where he was like, man, that's all I think about is you guys. They were talking about the fact that they go really hard in practice. They want to be able to hit during practice, so when the regular season comes, that it's not going to. What do I got going on here? I got something else. Wow, I got something going on in my back, and I don't know what that is. That bothers you. Let me turn that one down. All right. Anyway, sorry about that. Right there, John Kaminsky tearing his MCL right there, and they've been going very, very hard in the practices. Do you think that the Lions go a little bit too hard in the practices and they need to lighten it up a little bit if they want to make it through the entire season? Or do you believe in this old school mentality that you gotta work up some of the scar tissue underneath and they got to take the hits so that way when it gets to the regular season, it's not such a shock on the body. Now that, that's an old school mentality. They've been taking precautions for a while about, keeping quarterbacks clean, making sure people are staying healthy. And Dan Campbell believes in that old school mentality that he's actually going to be protecting these guys by having them hit so hard in the beginning. And not all the teams do this. This is not something that's practiced throughout, that they go full board. Now, they don't go full board every day, but every once in a while they'll come in to a practice and they'll hit. And they'll hit. And it breeds competition. And I'm in favor of it. I'm in favor of it. I'm so sick and tired of soft Lions teams that, might have a couple good players. You had Matt Stafford and you had Calvin Johnson here. And I'm not saying that those players are soft, but I'm saying that when it came down to it, the tough teams were the teams that would always give us problems. The ones that had the big offensive line that can move you around. You have all these, sexy players that can all run fast and do amazing things. And they just had some guys that were in there.
We're going to bite a kneecap off.
That bit kneecaps. And I remember always facing those, like the San Francisco. I remember the Jim Schwartz with the handshake, and, Harbaugh went a little bit, too hard on the handshake and hit Schwartz too hard on the back. Can't believe he did that. And it's like, no, let's grow a pair. Let's grow a pair. Let's hit each other. It's like, you ain't going to hit me any harder than any of my guys hit me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm for it. What do you think about John Kaminsky? He gets in. Do you think that it could have been prevented by them not playing so physical during the practices? And both ways have data to back it up. There's data in the old school that says that the teams that are going to make it to the end, you got depth. And there's also data that says that they do get more injured because they're practicing so hard, and you don't want to run out of troops before the season even starts. So I'm not going to kill anybody or unalive anybody.
Whatever that thing's for.
We're not going to unalive anybody if they want to go either way on this. So let's see what we have in here. Scott Harrison says it's a bummer. It is a bummer. Dwayne says that it sucks, but next man up. Hopefully he heals. Hopefully he heals good for this year, postseason, or next year. I like that call.
You like that?
From what I heard, Kaminsky was rolled up on, so those kind of things happen. Yeah, I agree with that, Ray. I agree with that, Ray. I think what people like to do is they like to freak out a little bit, when the things don't go their way. I call that the 4th and 3 crowd. You should kick the field goal. And they only say you should kick the field goal because they missed it. Because they missed the extra right there. So, yeah, it's the next man up. It is the next, because this is what happens. It was rolled up on. It doesn't matter. I mean, you could put these guys in bubble wrap, but when a 350-pound dude falls on your ankle, then you're really just kind of left. There's nothing that you can really do about that. I mean, you really think putting them in bubble wrap is going to, protect that? I mean, you're going to have to wrap that thing up. You're not going to get the speed. So there you go. It's football.
We're going to bite a kneecap off.
It's football. Stop taking all the hitting out of the game. Stop taking it all out of here. It's the best way. There's a reason even starting young. You have to practice at full speed. It prepares your body and your mind for those hits. A slight mistake is taking or giving a hit that can cause an injury. Yeah, I don't think that you could have prevented a roll-up injury even if you were going light. I like that call, Fred.
You like that?
That's a good call. That's a good call. Elise Memes, the queen of memes, is in the house. Good morning, villains. Football is on tomorrow. Whoop, whoop. There.
Say hello to my little friend.
Say hello to my little friend. My little friend called football. Football. Fred says, I call BS. Let's go back to last season. A game against the Vikings. playing the starters and Laporta got injured. It's part of the game and the strategy of the game. Yes. I mean, you can't put on so many seatbelts that nobody ever dies in a car crash. I mean, you want 18 seatbelts. You want one over your head, one over your eyeball, one over your nose, one over your chest. Got to protect all those vitals. It's like, no, man, if you're going to play the game, go out there. They're getting paid good for a risk. I mean, part of the reason that these guys get paid so good is that they're risking their bodies. I mean, you can't go out and, and have a 30-year career in football unless you switch from playing to coaching. Robert says, how can you judge who makes the 52-man roster if they're not giving 100% in the practice? There's, if I could play devil's advocate on that, because I don't just want to just crap on the person that says, they want to, save the game. Like, they're not saying don't tackle, but there's an intensity that, from what a lot of these old school football players say, that back in the 80s, in the 70s, they practiced different. The two-a-days were different. I mean, I even heard Dan Campbell was talking about, like, working with Parcells. It's like the two-a-days. He's like, the break was, well, you get to take your shorts off, or you get to take your pants off and play in shorts and pads. And that was like the break back in the day. But there were a lot more career-ending injuries back then, and the medical is a lot better now than it ever was. These guys are getting world-class medical treatment, so it may be a little bit different now. I don't know. I think there is just something about taking the hits. It gets your body used to the hits. You got to get yourself in the football shape. And from what Dan Campbell was saying, he's like, you don't want to wait 8 games and then be like, okay, now we're starting to come over the hump. So it's game 8. We're 1-6. You don't want to do that. Fred Peterson says, Elise St. Brown, what's up? I'm going to put a shout out to Elise. Elise is part of our Lions Villain Squad family now. And as well as Fred Peterson, too. Fred Peterson is our Patreon. But Elise is making content, and we want to be able to support her Facebook page. So make sure that you look on our page. Make sure you like the stuff that's on our page, too. Like, we love making content, but this isn't the only content that we make on our Lions Villain Squad page. We're about ready to hit. We are about ready to hit. I'm looking about to hit 52,000 on the page right now. So we appreciate everybody liking and subscribing and following the page. But now Elise is going to be on there. We are going to be featuring some of Elise's content on there. She's got some really cool stuff. Very smart, very witty with some of her stuff. You might have to, have an IQ up there to get some of the stuff. But don't worry. If you don't get it, just go read some books and maybe Elise will get there. But she's Mrs. St. Brown. Mrs. St. Brown. Mr. St. Brown, where are you at? The sun god is shining upon us. Shineth upon it. Corey says, practice hard. Play hard. Win games.
We're going to bite a kneecap off.
Man, I felt motivated on that one. I felt like we were getting somewhere with that. So John Kaminsky gets injured. He tears his MCL, out for the regular season. I think that we have pretty good depth at that spot. I mean, John Kaminsky, we were just talking 2 days ago on how he might have been one of the cut candidates. I'm not saying that's okay. We don't want to see anybody getting injured. John Kaminsky is a big part of the reason that we were able to build this thing into a winner, And are there any other comments in there. The old me is dead said, so I saw an interesting quote online saying now with the injury yesterday, we could go out and sign a New England rusher, the New England edge rusher, tell McNeil that he's going to have to deal with taking less money. I don't like that idea at all. You want to bring in a total stranger from the outside and kick one of the guys that we drafted and had been developing for 3 years and tell that guy that he has to take less money for the stranger? I don't agree with that one. I'm sorry. Old me is dead. I do not want to go to New England and get any pass rushers. There's nobody outside of the walls of Allen Park that I want on this team right here and right now. I don't think that the Kaminsky injury is so devastating that we need to go out and sign a mega pass rusher. I want to see what happens with Matthew Betts. That's another guy that could step in there. They do have a couple undrafted free agents that come in on the back end. They have Josh Pascal. They have Marcus Davenport. They have James Houston. And they just drafted Mekhi Wingo. And I mean, I don't think that it's a good idea to tell the guys that have been working really, really hard for your team for 3 years. And actually, Aleem broke out last year. Aleem's probably better than any player that they have over there named Matthew Judon. So let's think about that. Did you get a response? Yeah. We should tell a guy who's been busting his butt to take less money so we can sign an injured player. Biggest joke ever. Yeah, we don't want to do that. Good morning, Jason MC. We got Skull in the house, and you want to talk about a team that's dealing with some injuries and some bad luck. That's the Skull Nation right there. Hopefully that turns around a little bit for them, and we are speaking injury right now. And I wanted to throw something in here. This is a Dan Campbell. Since he got here, I mean, this is something I want to put into perspective for all of the people that are out there thinking that we just have this team that got lucky. And Dan Campbell in 2021, he was 3-13-1, started out 2022 at 1-6, and then since he's been 22-8. Now that's more than a full season. That is what you call consistency. You can actually go back to the 2022 game, and it was a loss to the Buffalo Bills, and you can see it. You can see it happen, like the switch turned on for about 6 of the players, and then the Lions went 8-2 down that stretch. I got told to pump the brakes. You know, you gotta do more. Then they finished the last season 12-4 to silence all of the doubters. So you can say whatever you want, but my opinion is rooted in fact. And the fact is that Dan Campbell's new team, young team, has been growing and developing. And over the last 30 games, he's 22-8. So you can say whatever you want, but that's the best team in the NFC North. We're the NFC North champions. And we have a very, very good chance to repeat as NFC North champions. And I don't think that there's another team that got as good as we did during the offseason, even though there were some good improvements on the Bears, some good improvements on the Packers. They're just not as good as we are right now. So there you go. I wanted to throw that little tidbit in there. What do you think of that? 22-8. 22-8 over the last 30. The old me is dead. So I thought that was the dumbest thing I heard. And I say some dumbest shit. I don't think it's the dumbest thing that I ever heard. I mean, it's okay to think that. I mean, this is the mentality. The old me is dead. I don't know what your real name is. I would love to know what your real name is so I could speak at you. But It's not a dumb thing because this is the way that the Lions fans have been conditioned over the years, is that we need to go out to get the biggest, best, shiny new thing because the shiny new thing on the outside of the walls was always better than the things that we got under our own Christmas tree. And throughout the years, you want to go out, we got to get Trey Flowers. We got the best offseason ever. Oh, we signed Wagner on the offense. Look, now Matt Stafford can do it. And then we go out and spend all of this money from these people that have never even done a practice with us. Just because they had a good season in another team, it doesn't mean that they're just going to come here and just start balling out. These guys that are outside of your organization have a lot better chance to I don't want to say they're going to fail right off the bat, but they have a better chance of failing than somebody that who you got. Like Steve. What's up, Steve? So we're not as good as the Lions. Okay, yeah. You're not as good as the Lions. The Packers are not as good as the Lions. And you can just look at the records and see that. 12-4 with 2 playoff wins, 9-8 with 1 playoff win. That means more is better than less. Lions 12 wins. Packers 9 wins. Lions better than Packers. Lions win further in the playoffs than the Packers. Lions better than Packers. Is that easier for you, Steve? Okay. Fred Peterson, in all reality, we the best for the time. We couldn't draft worth a shit. So someone outside the walls was usually better. See, that's the way we've been conditioned, and that was the truth. And that was the truth for a lot of years. But now they have proven that they can draft, they can develop, they can, and that's where you're feeling it. It's like, when was the last time you got to say, hey, let's not go out and get Matthew Judon? I would rather go with the developing players like Josh Pascal. I want to see what he does in his 3rd year. I want to see what James Houston does in his 3rd year. Oh, man. The 100%, the old me is dead. The burn is real. The burn is real. I'm not trying to burn nobody. I'm just spitting facts. I mean, I love being a homer for my team. I do love being a homer for my team, but I've never been the guy that's going to over-tout my own team. I've picked the exact record of the Lions the last 2 years, and I mean, I try not to go overboard with it, but this is just the best chance. Even though the Lions made it to the NFC Championship last year, and they failed in the NFC Championship. That might have been one of the most epic collapses, maybe in NFC Championship history. But I didn't pick the Lions to win 2 playoff games last year at the beginning of the season. So that's the way that the Lion fan has to look at it. I mean, if Packer fan and Viking fan or Bear fan want to point out that we lost the last game, but we lost the game you didn't get to. So now I know how the Packer fans feel. It's like they go to NFC Championship and don't win. And everyone's like, you didn't win the NFC Championship. You always choked, Packers. The Green Bay Packers had been dominating this division. They're always the representative. So it's hard for me to go and make fun of the Packers when they were winning. The first time I really got to make fun of the Packers was when we beat you in Lambeau going 9-8, knocked you out of the playoffs. That's like the first dig that we've got to say that we've got on you guys in years. The 3-0 thing was fine when I was doing the days, when it was 700 days since the Lions. And you see, Steve, I love you, dude. You say we still own this division? Are we bringing in past again? Are we going to bring in the corpse of the first Super Bowl again? You haven't won, and you don't own the division. You don't own the division. You can say it all you want. I mean, you're on a Lions show because it takes more to win a division. And right there, the NFC North Division champions, that right there says that you don't own the division. And one thing I've been doing for the 3 years that I've been doing this is I've been consistent. Even when the Vikings won the division, and I did not think they were going to win last year's division, I still gave them the respect all the way up until the Lions actually took the division from them in week 16, I think it was. The Minnesota Vikings were the owners of the division for the entire 2022-23 season all the way up until week 16 when the Lions finally clinched. Now, the Lions are the division champions, the owners of the division, the owners of the Green Bay Packers and everybody in the division until you take it. You don't own it until you take it. And we took that shit last year, and that is what it is.
We're going to bite a kneecap off.
We did bite your kneecaps off. Packers can say all they want about us flopping in the new NFC Championship games, but how many times have the Packers lost to the 49ers in a championship game? 5 and 6. Yeah, we got to join the party. We got to join the Packer party. Yay, we got beat by the Packers. Oh, we got beat by the 49ers. Oh, yeah, we get to join that club. I don't want to join that club. I want to win the Super Bowl. I want to win the Super Bowl, Mike. What's up, Mike?
What's up?
You muted yourself.
What's
There
up,
you go.
brother? Good morning, villains.
I'm having some fun with Steve right now. This is where it all started, but he says that we still own the division, and he was like, the Lions are better than the Packers. Okay. So I had to drop some knowledge on him that 12 was more than 9. That 2 playoff wins was more than 1 playoff win. And I know Packer fans have a hard time with math. I thought that one was a little bit easier, that you could solve 2 minus 1 equals 1 better. That 12 minus 9 is 3 better. And that splitting the division does not mean that you own it. I mean, you won 1 game against the Lions in like 4 freaking years.
Actually, only 1 quarter.
One quarter. But I love Packer fans. They're like, the frozen tundra Lambeau Field. We won the first Super Bowl. Yes, we did. We have 4 of them now.
That's why we wear cheese on our heads. You silly peasants.
You peasants, you haven't won anything. Well, actually, we won last year, but that doesn't matter. We're the Packers.
Because when Jordan Love retires, we'll draft another Hall of Fame quarterback.
Oh, gosh. And that's the thing, Steve. You're probably
Spoiled.
Going to. You are spoiled because what you just said there is probably freaking true. I mean, you go Favre, you go Rodgers, and now it looks like Jordan Love's going to be good. These guys don't miss on quarterbacks. I got to give them credit there. There you go. There you go, Steve. I'll give you a compliment. You can draft a quarterback. I did see a post the other day that was talking about how Jordan Love was 34 on the list, and Goff was 48 or whatever, right? They're like, look at all you Lions fans. I thought that your guy was better. But the thing that you didn't notice, maybe Love is a better thrower of the ball or whatever. If you want to say that he's better, that's fine. But you have to also understand that Lions also had 4 more players that were on that on that top 100 list. So it does take more than 1 player to be on that list. So I don't know if Goff is as good as Jordan Love, but I know that he's been doing it a lot longer and he's been consistently good for a lot longer. So Steve says, yeah, Fred, but you guys are winning that game big, and the Lions flopped it. I bet the Lions fans were buying their Super Bowl tickets at halftime and then asked for a refund.
Now, I got to be fair to Steve on this one, Russ. It was one of the biggest chokes in NFL history when you're up by 17 at halftime and you lose. And I am personally guilty of being in the Lions den at halftime going, what am I going to wear at the Super Bowl party? Ooh, what am I going to eat at the Super Bowl party? Oh, I can't wait for the Super Bowl party. I counted my chickens before they hatched. I'm guilty of that. So Steve does have a point there. We don't know how to act, Steve. Okay, we're Lions fans. We've been your doormat and your punching bag for the last 60 years. Yes, we don't know how to act yet, but we're going to learn.
We are learning, but they don't know how to act either. What have we been listening to for the last 10 years, Mike? After every after NFC championship, after NFC championship choke job, the next year's, Aaron Rodgers won the MVP. Aaron Rodgers, here's our history. We won in 11. It's like they're doing the same thing we did. We made it to the NFC championship. We're happy about our team. Our team still looks good. I'm not going to sit up here and be scared. Mike, we're not going to win because we didn't win. Like 31 teams that aren't named the Kansas City Chiefs have been saying that for 2 years now. There's only one winner, guys. And when you haven't made a playoff and all of a sudden you win 2 playoff games, don't let any of these Packer fans make you feel any kind of way. We have a great team, guys. And guess what? You know what the epic collapse consisted of in the NFC Championship? I'm not making excuses here, but you know what that consisted of? Bad cornerback play. Very bad cornerback play. And what did the Lions do in the offseason? They got 5 new cornerbacks on this team that are all better than the best cornerback that we had last year. So, yes, there was an epic collapse in the NFC Championship. And in Brad Holmes' 4th year as GM, he filled all the holes. What else can you do? What else can you do, Mike?
Well, I mean, you look at all the great teams. You look at those Peyton Manning Denver teams. You look at a lot of the great teams of history. They had to climb that mountain, right, to get there. I mean, the Denver Broncos had the most high-powered offense in the entire NFL, one of the best teams in the league, the best record in the league. They go in the Super Bowl and they lose to the Seattle Seahawks, right? This Lions team was already ahead of schedule on the rebuild. They say the rebuild takes 3 years. That's 3 years minimum for you to win your division or at least be competitive and your rebuild is complete. We actually made it to the NFC title game and beat 2 very quality teams to get to there. And we were up at halftime by 17. So it's just part of the journey. Like you and I, we had to fall at this so many times. We had to suck for a long time before now we're just average, right? We're going to get to the top. We're going to go even further on the villain squad. The Lions are going to go even further because they're doing it the right way. And Brad Holmes is ahead of schedule on this rebuild. Now we're in year 4. He's completely revamped the defense. Big expectations in Detroit this year. So, we got to take some more shit. We've got to eat another spoonful of shit from Packer fans because we had an epic collapse. No doubt.
Well, I mean, I think Steve just likes having fun with us, and we like having fun with Steve too. We love this friendly rivalry that we have, and it isn't friendly like as far as the fan base and everything goes, but it's like it is a friendly rivalry because we don't act like dicks on our show, and we used to like to do that, but now we're more in the information giving part because here's the God's the honest truth is when we went really hard on the smack talking, y'all couldn't hang. And that's just the honest to God truth. You guys were gone for like 4 weeks and it hurt our show. And this is the real deal. This ain't me just talking smack. When the Packers were like, what were they, 3-6 last year? You're gone. It was a ghost town up in here. Steve came in, popped in every once in a while, would say hi. A-Dub said hi every once in a while. But you were gone until like week 10 when you rattled off like 3 or 4, and then all of a sudden, yeah, you pop one in. Yeah, go back up. You guys were gone. You guys got to learn how to follow your team when it's not doing good. And they were telling us in the middle, yeah, we already know how it is. We know, we've been through it. You ain't been through shit. Ain't nobody alive that is a Packer fan that can probably remember back in like 80s and the 70s when they went on their long streak of not doing well. You guys probably don't even remember that. You guys are so spoiled between Favre and Rodgers and now Love. You don't even remember that you could have been a bad team. You don't remember putting a couple of losing seasons in a row together. And I don't know if you ever will. Maybe they'll always be run well, Mike, and we'll always have to take it from the Green Bay Packers. But at least our team's good now, and we can take that to the bank.
And we are the NFC North reigning champions. We can rest on that.
And that means that we are the best in the NFC North, which includes over the Green Bay Packers, over the Chicago Bears, and over the Minnesota Vikings. And like I said, I gave the Minnesota Vikings respect all the way up until week 16 last year. All the way up until week 16. You look like somebody's trying to rob your house, Mike.
No, I pulled to the very back of a parking lot where there's nobody at, so I wouldn't have to have people drive up, and they'd got to take the spot right next to me.
You say, go Lions.
Oh, got a Green Bay Packers sticker on the window.
No way.
No, I'm kidding.
I don't think anybody like that. Oh, man. Steve's a great guy. It's never personal. It's all fun and in the game. Yeah, we all want our teams to be good. Steve says, what AFC team do you think will make the Super Bowl besides the Chiefs? Lions versus who if the Lions make the Super Bowl? Look at that good question out of Steve. I mean, I'll just throw my hat in there. I think that damn C.J. Stroud is pretty damn good, and they're a team that I think is a lot like the Lions, where they're up and coming, and they got a bunch of guys on that team that could be taking steps. That could be a very dangerous team coming out of the AFC.
And I think don't discount Miami. With all that offensive firepower, the best wide receiver tandem in the league, the best running back tandem in the league. Tua gets a new contract. I mean, they're pretty stacked. They lost some pieces on defense. They probably don't have enough horses to get there. But if they can get home field advantage, they could be a real problem.
Fred Peterson's got the Texans, Ravens, and Chiefs. I mean, those are the I don't know. Those are probably the three best teams right there. That's a pretty good call right there by Fred. The old me is dead. Hey, Fred. At least you were typing it and you weren't doing a text talk and have to go horribly wrong like me the last time choking in the Super Bowl. Yeah, worse in the NFC Championship. The old me is dead. Fred says, where's John, the Packer fan? See, John Dorn was one of those guys that went into witness protection. And then we just decided to ban him from the show because he only likes to come on when they win, and it is what it is. He's John Dorn. I mean, I don't know. The probably the most awful takes on the internet. But if you want to see him, I think that the Frozen Tundra Network is still going over there. He had to go to his own playground and play on his own monkey bars because he couldn't handle playing on our playground.
No, we banned him.
Are you going to tell him why, or just why did he get banned?
I don't want to go into it because then I might have to say his name, and let's just skip it. He's just not a man of his word. He's not a man of integrity. So that's enough, right? That's enough for me. You don't deserve to be in this conversation. I don't care what team you root for.
Well,
A douchebag is a douchebag, regardless of what team they root for.
that's okay. Well, if Mike doesn't want to say it, I'll say it. He got banned because we made a gentleman's bet. And he's on record on this show. This guy, I've only mentioned his name once in this program, and he said that he would never use the term. The bet was, I'll never use the term SOL ever again if the Lions won the division. And then when the Lions lost to the Green Bay Packers on Thanksgiving, all bets were off. It was SOL. He went back on his word. So we're not going to allow people, we're not going to make bets with people, and we're not going to do anything public with anybody who welches on their bet. So just know that we're honorable people. We always honor our bets. I wear a stupid Michigan, if I can wear a stupid Michigan hat and a jersey, then you can refrain from using the term SOL when you made the bet. So that's it.
Yeah, not only did he use the term every day after that, after we won the division, he's doubled down on it, says it in every post, puts it up as his background on camera. Like, yep. I mean, you're doubling down that you're a Welch. Okay, well, we have it on video, so your word means nothing. So got no use for that on the show.
We got no use for it. So, but that's why we got rid of the trash talk, and we don't really get into the hard trash talking anymore because of that, because we can handle it and they can't. So let's not put love in that category yet. Let's see. Jason MC, been rebuilding for 2 years now. I highly recommend The Crow. Well done. Oh, Steve. Just trying to build some excitement for this show. I enjoy being here. Steve, you make it exciting. You get us all fired up. I think that you bring out the intensity in our takes because you are an honorable Packer fan. I like A-Dub too. I saw A-Dub in here. I really liked seeing A-Dub in here. Quick prediction for the NFC North standings. Lions, Packers, Bears, Vikings. That's a pretty popular one, right? Mad props, Russell. You were very true to the clinch. Yes. True to the clinch. And he's speaking of last year when I did not claim NFC North championship until that victory in week 16 against the Vikings where we actually took it. They had the title. You have to take the title from the champion. I'm a wrestling fan. Which, by the way, shameless plug, can go to WrestleMania Pro Wrestling Talk and follow that page too. Yes, in order to beat the champion, you have to pin the champion. You can't win on a count out. You can't have any other shenanigans. And even though it was a foregone conclusion, it seemed like at the end of the season, we did not claim the victory of the NFC North until week 16. And I did have something else in here, Mike. I wanted to throw a shout out to one of our other guys right here, and that's Stella Stills, Steve McMania. That's right, brother. He's one of our artists. We feature some of his artwork on there. He made that cool little Spider-Man grit. Strong day from the defense yesterday. That was the weak part of the NFC Championship last year, Mike. Strong part from the defense. Got 3 interceptions, one from Rakeshaw, one from Barnes, and one from some guy named Strickland, which is one of the UDFAs. So defense showing out, Mike. What do you think?
Yeah, this is the kind of reports we want to hear coming out of camp. These young guys need these reps against the starters. Jared Goff was one of those interceptions. Hendon Hooker was 2 of the 3. But this is exactly what we want to hear. You draft 2 guys with the 1st and 2nd pick to come in and play corner, and they are both showing out. And that's the reports we're getting out of training camp. That's so encouraging. That's what this team needs. That's why we had an epic collapse in the NFC title game. We literally had no corners back there playing. Kendall Vildor starting, Jerry Jacobs, Cam Sutton. I mean, yeah, Cam Sutton never materialized into a number 1, but we never had to pay him like one. It was never a blunder. to bring Cam Sutton on the team. It was an $11 million. He was the best corner we had, and he was mid at best. And we still made it to the NFC title game. Now you throw out all those guys. You bring in a whole new group. There's still a lot to be seen, whether the chemistry is going to be there, whether they're going to gel, all of that. But they come from good football programs in the SEC, and you get Amik Robertson, and you get Carlton Davis coming over in free agent to add to those guys. That's what we want to hear, these reports out of training camp, that they are showing out.
I love that too. And the other thing that I was hitting up this morning, Mike, is that the practicing for John Kaminsky. You know, do you think that the Lions are practicing too hard? Because this has been a popular question out there. Are they practicing too hard to where they're risking their players and their depth more by the way that they're practicing? Do you think they are?
Well, you're asking what I think, so it's my opinion. I think that Dan Campbell doesn't believe there is such a thing as practicing too hard. They've already been fined at the very, very beginning of training camp for hitting too much with no pads on and being too physical. So no, you know, like boxers, you practice like you play. And I think it's good for the team to be physical, go all out. Injuries happen in training camp no matter what. We were fortunate that this injury happened on a position where we had 4 and 5 guys that can fill that hole. We weren't even sure how much time Kaminsky was going to play. We weren't even sure if he was even going to make the 53-man. If Matthew Betts shows out in training camp, that he could take that roster spot anyway. So, no, I don't think that the Lions are practicing too hard, because I don't believe Dan Campbell believes there is such a thing.
I love that call. I agree with that sentiment, because, you know, Dan Campbell also had went out and he'd said things about the way that they used to practice when it was with Parcells. They were doing the 2-a-days, and how a break was actually them just being able to strip down to shorts and do part of the practice. And he was like, that was like a gift. Oh, thank you so much. Where's the water? Where's the garden hose? We need a drink of water, you know, like old school. And Dan brings and embodies that old school mentality. One thing I forgot, I got to get all my slides in. I got so excited talking to Steve and a little bit of trash talk today that it didn't even get to all of my slides right here. Doris Fountain is emerging as a dark horse to make the roster at wide receiver. And I think this is awesome, because every year it seems like there is one. It's usually, his name is usually Tom Kennedy, but Doris Fountain seems to be the Tom Kennedy of this year. Do you have anything to add on a Doris Fountain emerging topic?
I do not. Last year we had a couple guys emerge in training camp and they didn't make the team. This team is deep, folks. It's going to take more than some good play at training camp to make this team. You've got to take that job. The question becomes, if Doris Fountain does make the team, who gets bumped?
Right. So I got the sideline report up, and a guy that you seem to like is this Brad Berryman. You know, he has an article up there. I just posted it. I think it came out yesterday. Doris Fountain spent all of last season on the practice squad, and that in itself says something. Since coming to the NFL from the Indianapolis Colts in 2018, he's been on the Colts practice squad, the Chiefs practice squad, and the Bears practice squad. And what was really standing out from Dan Campbell about this guy, for one, he's 6'2", 220 pounds. So he's a big body wide receiver. We've needed a true X that can jump and go catch balls in traffic, you know, with like a red zone type of target. And the thing that's separating him from what Dan Campbell says is special teams. This guy is becoming very valuable and getting out there on a lot of reps and special teams. And I think that gives him a decent shot. I mean, if he doesn't make the roster, I think that he'll be on our practice squad again. But this is just another proof of the fact that the Lions can draft and develop players or even pick guys up off of waiver wires that can make an impact on the team.
You like that?
See if they got any comments in here about Doris Fountain. Yeah.
Looks like Steve is practicing to have his own podcast because he's in the comments just asking all kinds of questions.
Well, that's what I asked. You know, will Goff play any preseason games? I mean, Steve is Steve, you're the man. Steve is actually acting in the way that I wish everybody would act. Like, if you're on there, let's ask some questions. Let's have some football conversation. And this is a great question, Mike. Do you think Goff will play any preseason games?
I know that last year they said he wasn't, and he insisted on go. He himself insisted to go out there. And I think he played one whole series. He played one whole series in the preseason game. So I wouldn't be surprised if he does play a series.
I think that Jared Goff will not play one series. You're not going to sniff Jared Goff. He isn't going to be out there because the real quarterback battle is not between the guy and the backup that you're paying your starter $53 million a year. There's not a question there. The question is Nate Sudfeld versus Hendon Hooker. And those two quarterbacks are going to get all of the reps. And Jared Goff's going to be over, not on a camera at all, working with his number ones and working on his craft outside of the camera, because this offense is going to be explosive, and we don't want people to see what it is yet. There will be no Goff, in my opinion.
No, I think that's a great opinion. That's a great take, especially as you consider that Dan Campbell has already been on record saying that he values the joint practices a lot more than the preseason games. And I think you're so right. Hendon Hooker, what does he need? He needs reps to develop. Even if they're preseason reps, every one of those is precious. And you're probably right. Goff probably won't see the field, especially now that he's married. So he has to take orders from her and his coach. So you're probably right. But I mean, he's such a competitor. You couldn't keep him out of there last year. It would not surprise me if he pines the coach to get in there for at least one series.
Yeah, for sure. And really, the old me is dead comes in and says, Steve, like maybe the first outing. I have no problem with that. I mean, if he goes out and plays a series, I mean, that's not gonna like totally surprise me. Like, oh, I can't believe they're playing Goff. But I don't think so. But if he goes out for a series, that would be a good call. It's being said that Harbaugh and the Chargers can take the Chiefs down and win the AFC West. Anyone agree? No. I don't believe that Harbaugh's going to get it that fast. I think Harbaugh's a great coach, and I think that he turned the Michigan organization around, but I don't think he's going to turn it around that fast and make them take down the Chiefs and win that division. That's a big sell right there. You're asking the Chargers with the first year as a head coach to go take down the heavyweight champion of the world?
Well, Harbaugh's track
off.
record says 2 years. San Diego State, he did it in 2 years. Stanford, he did it in 2 years. The Niners, 2 years. Goes to Michigan, turns the program around, 2 years. It's not realistic to think that he's going to do it in year one in San Diego, in LA, excuse me. They don't have enough horses on that side. Quentin Johnson is looking like a bust again in camp this year. The one thing the Chargers do have going for them, though, is Harbaugh's track record with quarterbacks. Andrew Luck, Colin Kaepernick. He's gotten the most out of these guys. Heck, even J.J. McCarthy. His system, and maybe it's because he played the position himself, Jim Harbaugh, but he always gets the most out of his quarterback, and this is going to be the best thing for Justin Herbert. It may not get done this year. They do have a couple things going for them in their favor, though, and that is the Broncos suck and the Raiders suck. So they do have an outside chance to come in second in that division, possibly sniff a wild card if things go right for them and the schedule falls right for them. But knock off the Chiefs, that would take an injury to Patrick Mahomes, I believe.
Yeah, it has to be. You have to do an injury to Patrick Mahomes because they also drafted a very fast wide receiver this year, and giving Mahomes a weapon that can run a 4.2 is, yeah. You saw what happened the last time that happened.
Right.
You know,
Xavier Worthy from Texas, the burner on the outside. Then you bring back Rashee Rice if he can stay out of jail. Excellent rookie season. And they also brought in Hollywood Brown. Marquise Brown from Arizona comes in. So now they have a real formidable trio of receivers, something they haven't had the last 2 years. And they still won the Super Bowl both of those years. So they only got better. Isaiah Pacheco, still a young player, but another year under his belt, runs harder than anyone I've ever seen, I believe. They have a top 5 defense. They have a top 5 offensive line. They have the best coach in the league. They have one of the best GMs in the league. I mean, they draft well. Trent McDuffie, these guys are young. George Karlaftis are on rookie contracts. So they do everything right. They're a class act organization. It's going to be really hard for any team to bump them off, especially in their own division.
awesome take. Detroit Fan Man says, going back to the practicing thing, practice hard and maybe get hurt now, but practice light and then maybe get hurt later. So go big or go home. Get ready. I
Such
love
a
that
good take.
comment.
You like that?
I mean, they were talking about the building. You build up scar tissue, right? You don't want your first real action to be on Sunday when you're coming across the field and all of a sudden you get popped and then you're like, oh, shoot. I mean, the Lions started out 1-6 in 2022 because of that mentality. That's what Dan Campbell said. And that means that you go out there, you get surprised, and it took them till like week 6 or 7 to get their legs underneath of them. So I love that call. Great call. Jason MC, who gets the preseason reps in Pittsburgh? Ooh, that's a good one. You got Fields and Wilson. I heard that Wilson's got like an ankle injury that has been bothering him. I heard that they had Fields at kick returner.
I think no matter what happens, Russell Wilson starts the first regular season game. He'll be the starter under center. Whether he plays minimally in the preseason or not, he'll still be the starter. He's going to have to falter in order for Justin Fields to take that starting quarterback job from him, which is not beyond the realm of possibility. So that absolutely could happen. But I think it's going to be Russell Wilson starting for the Steelers no matter what.
I like that. I do like that call. Here's another question to piggyback off that for you, Mike. Do you think that Justin Fields is going to end up showing that he is a good quarterback by getting real coaching?
No.
So you think that he was a bust the entire
I think
time?
he is what he is, and he's a dangerous weapon. He's got a rocket for an arm, but he's not real accurate. He's the most slippery player I've ever seen back there under center, the hardest to tackle in the backfield, the hardest guy to sack, but he's never going to have the NFL quarterback between the ears thing to be able to be Russell Wilson or what Russell Wilson was. I'm just using that as an example. I don't think that the coaching, anything's going to make a difference. Will he still be dangerous? Absolutely. Can he still win games as a starter in the NFL? Yes. Will he ever be able to lead a team on his shoulders to a Super Bowl? No.
Yeah, there you go, Justin Fields. Sorry about that. The old me is dead says with the commish injured, will Levi step up and sniff second string?
We're going to bite a kneecap off.
I don't mind that call. Levi could be one of those guys. They got depth along that line. We were just talking 2 days ago on how the commish might even be a cap casualty come cut down days. What do you think of that, Mike? Levi.
Well, they brought in DJ Reader, so the room's already getting more crowded. Somebody's got to go out. Now that Kaminsky goes out with this injury, this might free up a room for Levi. But Levi, in his third year now, never really played. Although PFF says when he was on the field last year, he was productive. It's such a good question, and it's one that I really don't know. I don't think anyone really knows. I don't even think the Lions coaches know what's the deal with Levi. Is he back? He's getting good reports out of camp right now, but gosh, it just seems so implausible for a guy to make it all the way back from that in such a crowded room. He'd really have to be head and shoulders above, Broderick Martin. He'd have to be head and shoulders above Josh Pascal in order for him to solidify that number 2 spot on the D line.
I'll make a comment to that, and I'll say this: second string. I think that Mike makes a good point right there. Him coming in and just snatching second string might be a stretch, but I don't think it's too far off. And I'm gonna go with the Brad Holmes track record of finding talent to base this opinion. Brad Holmes hasn't missed on any draft picks yet to where like these guys are out of the NFL. So the fact that Levi's still competing, the first year he had that back injury and he never got back to it. We can say that he's a bust, but he never had the chance to even show it because he had the back injury, tried to come back from it, and then it failed. And then he went back on IR. He had a different back surgery and then came back at the last year and competed, was on the roster. And then he started putting him in towards the end of the season. And the PFF had him at a 68.5 with the limited snaps that he had. And that's really good. So he came in the off season. He put on 15 pounds of muscle. He's now a 300-pound defensive tackle, Mike. And it looks like his back is holding the weight and that he's got the twitch, everything that they drafted him to be. So it may be 3 years into his deal, but we might have to treat this like his rookie year because this is the first time that he's ever been healthy.
Right.
So
he could be beat out by Mekhi Wingo, however.
He could be beat out by, that's why I say the second string might be a little bit of a stretch here because there are some other guys that might be ahead on the depth chart, but him making the team as a depth piece behind second, third string, I don't think that that's impossible. I don't think it's impossible.
Nope. And they covet their own draft picks and developing them. So that gives him a leg up, but it is such a great question. Levi is a real question mark, coming out of training camp, going into preseason. I bet he gets a lot of reps in preseason.
Fred Peterson says, see, old me, I say dumb shit too. I forgot that the KC and the Chargers were in the same division. You look at my reply. Hey, we all make mistakes. It's okay. Sometimes you get the information right. We are in the information business. And sometimes even the information that we get to report that we get and we report it to you isn't right. And then we have to backtrack and be like, well, looks like Adam Schefter got it right. All we can do is all we can do. Steve says Isaiah Pacheco looks good like one of the Milli Vanilli dudes. And it's true. Oh, another guy in Pittsburgh, quarterback turning heads. Can't think of his name. Okay, there's another quarterback in Pittsburgh. I don't know. I put too much emphasis on Pittsburgh today. Oh, Fields might want to convert to Antoine Randall. Oh, more Pittsburgh. Even Antoine Randall is former Pittsburgh. We can't get away from Pittsburgh, Mike. Oh gosh. Hey guys, Eagles fan here. Yes.
Say hello to my little friend.
Besides that, I'm a big Terrion Arnold fan. How's he doing in camp so far? Mike, give him a report.
Terrion Arnold getting rave reviews. He's getting cooked on every video that you see, but the reports are he's locking down people, and the kid's got so much swagger. I firmly believe he's going to start. He's got so much personality. He's already endearing himself to the Detroit fans. He's going to be a staple here for a while. Definitely don't see Jeff Okuda bust type of stuff written all over him. In camp, we never got these kind of reports out of when Jeff Okudah was a rookie. So I definitely think he's going to live up to that draft potential. I think he's going to be a star in this league. And I think your Eagles are the team to beat, not the 49ers. I think the Eagles are the team to beat in the NFC this year and for the next 10 years.
Yeah, the Eagles are the real deal. And I think that is funny. But that video that he is burning Terrion Arnold in is you know that is Jamison Williams running, right? So here's where the reality of our cornerback situation. Either one of two things is true. Either all 5 of the DBs that we got in the offseason are all trash, or Jamison Williams is going to be very hard to guard this year. One of the two things is true. So I'll leave that one up to you. I don't know. I'll leave that up to you. Can we talk about the dumb onside rule change? The NFL is now taking away wins like the Saints in the Super Bowl.
Now I'm going to take this one, Russ, because Jason is not talking about the new kickoff rules. That's not what he's talking about. He's talking about the addendums that keep coming down from the league to the coaches. And we're in training camp, almost going into the preseason. We're 1 week away from the preseason, and they are still sending updates to this new kickoff rule. And what Jason's referring to here is that onside kicks are only going to be allowed in the fourth quarter. Onside kicks will only be allowed if you are behind in the scoreboard. And onside kicks must be reported to the referees before you do it. Kind of tipping your hat to everyone else in the stadium, including the other team, that you're going to kick an onside kick. And what that's doing is taking away that element of surprise. Remember in the Super Bowl, how the Saints came out and kicked an onside kick, on the kickoff after halftime? You'll not be allowed to do that anymore. And he says that the NFL is now taking away wins. But Jason, what you have to understand is with the new kickoff rule and the way the players are lined up, they have a problem with the officials. You have one official to watch both of the lines that are set up, the coverage and the return team. They have one guy that can watch both of those lines and all of those players at the same time, and that's a problem. They set it all up and they implemented the rule, and then the officials went, wait, how are we supposed to do this? We got to have a back judge, a line judge, a referee. How are we going to have visibility on this? So they keep sending these addendums down, these additions to the rule, and I think they're just playing it by ear. They're doing it fast and loose, the best that they can. They're going to see how it plays out. We should keep in mind that these kickoff rules are only on a 1-year trial basis, Jason. So if you're right and they are taking away wins by this rule, they will make a change. But they're kind of going off the cuff here, trying to deal with it as it happens. And I think maybe by week 6 or 7 or 8, by halfway through the season for sure, we will know whether this is going to be successful or not. And I can't blame them for these rules they're making, because these actually came right from the officials. Nobody sat down with the officials and talked to them before they just threw this rule in at the owners' meeting in October.
Yeah, I heard one of the parts about the addendum is like you're not allowed to kick onside kicks if you're winning. Like I was like, really? I think that they're getting kind of crazy with that rule, but it is a 1-year thing, so I guess we have a brand new person in here. Looks like a Ravens fan. Tony Tone says your team's not that good, dude. And the tone is all. Your tone's all wrong. You're talking to my guy all wrong right there. This you do it again, I'll stab you in the face with a soldering iron. Tony Tone, it's the wrong tone. It's the wrong tone, Tony. It's the wrong tone.